Okay, where did we leave off? Let's see. We talked about what's happening. We talked about the awakening. We talked about the ritual. And now we get to talk about the juicy part. So, on this day where I'm having all of these epiphanies, all of these moments of genius, I'm thinking to myself about the school pictures that you get. And I assume they're the same. But you get like a whole card that has everybody in your class and it's got your teacher and all that kind of stuff. Well, someone who went to school with me when I was very young in grade school had posted these pictures on Facebook and tagged the people that were in it. And since I was tagged and since I was kind of in this moment, I went back and I looked at a couple of those pictures. The pictures of the child who had the big dreams, who wanted to be expressive and, out and sharing everything with the world. And I didn't realize that a single childhood photo could explain my entire adult life. And yet there it was. So let me paint the picture. I am zoomed in on this little box, which is a picture of myself from 3rd grade. Now you'll notice I've got pigtails. And you may recall that I mentioned having pigtails in an earlier episode. That wasn't just a cute, when you're a kid detail. It's literally drawn from my childhood. I've got on the sweater because it was picture day and you always want to dress nice when it's picture day. I have the expression that most kids have when somebody says, look here, smile, but not too big, and so you're just kind of like, yes, the traditional school picture look. A little bit awkward, a little bit tilted, but very much a child. And that's kind of exactly the point. I was looking back on a time in my life when I still lived with the childlike wonder, the feeling that anything is possible. And I started to kind of go through the motions of my life a little bit. And I realized that there are so many things that have made me into the person that I am that I didn't realize until I started this journey, this new becoming. So this young version of Amy, she was creative. She was funny. She was in tune with other people, observant. She was the kind of person that had a spark that was just undeniable. And I keep saying she was, but the fact is she is. Because that child, that version of me, has lived inside of me, quietly waiting for its opportunity to finally come back out and run the show. And she is excited. Childhood photos do funny things, right? They remind us that children are, in essence, blank slates. And you don't see who you are when you're a child, but everything that you experience ends up being part of the story of how you get to where you are. Kids don't perform. They don't feel like they need to, fit in a certain mold, at least not until the life and the surroundings start telling them that they should. Peter Pan wanted to stay a kid forever, and I can understand why. Not only is adulting hard, but it's also sacrificing a bit of yourself because you need safety, you need stability, and there's nothing wrong with that. But if an opportunity presents itself to be able to go back to the childlike wonder and the feeling that anything is possible, why wouldn't I want to do that? And so that's where I am. So there are a lot of things that I love about myself. But lately, as an adult, it's been hard to focus on those things, and it's easier to focus on the things I don't like. So you'll notice that these episodes are not polished. They're not perfect because I'm not perfect. And I'm finally in a place where I'm no longer watching for every misspoken word, which I literally just misspoke while I was trying to think of this word misspoken. I know, it's crazy. But like all the things that perfectionist Amy would have edited out, would have covered up, would have re-recorded, would have made making this take forever. And it would suck the joy that I'm feeling right out of it, which defeats the purpose. And that's why I want you to be real with me, because I want to be real with you. I am not perfect. I mean, I like to think that I am, but I definitely know that I'm not. And you don't have to be either, because perfection is an illusion that we chase, that we can never obtain because it's just not real. So I'm not going to pretend to be perfect. I'm going to stumble and bumble my way through telling you this story, enjoying the fact that you're on this becoming journey with me, and not being insecure like, oh my gosh, they're going to judge me because my hair was out of place, or because I paused too long, because I lost my train of thought, which absolutely happens all the time, and you can definitely expect that. See? There we go. You talk about it and it happens. Anyways, as a child, the world was boundless. And you just sit in this creativity, at least, a child growing up in the 80s, when we didn't have all the cell phones and the gaming systems and all the things that kind of, keep kids indoors these days. You went out and you rode your bike and you played with your friends and you just lived life. And when I look back at those pictures, I remember living, like really living. And now I'm 41 years old and I want to live again. I want to be that person that I've always been, but I want her to run the show now. And so it's funny because when you start going through this becoming, this transformation, this process of figuring out who you are, it's really easy to go back to childhood photos and have that spark. Wait a minute. This isn't new Amy. This is dormant Amy that's been quietly waiting in the background for many, many years, just waiting for the right opportunity to come out and be who she is. And so the nostalgia of these moments of seeing my grade school pictures, of, washing a Cool Whip container and somehow translating that back into growing up and, all the leftovers that always get sent home with you in these containers that we never throw away. It all starts clicking. The creativity that I have inside, it's not new. It's just reemerging. The humor that people have noticed in me for as long as I can remember, it's no longer just, oh, she's funny. It's that moment of remembering of when I said or did something that made a person stop and laugh and smile. And while I continued to do that as I got older, I lost that part of myself that did it naturally, that didn't have that filter on, like I have to be on. I can't say anything, that might be thought of as weird or quirky. But let me be honest with you. I am weird. I am quirky. And I love it because I have never felt more free in my entire life than when I stopped being the person that I thought the world wanted me to be, and I started being the person that I wanted to be. It's exhilarating, it's freeing, and it's awesome. and I'm taking you with me. And that's even more awesome. So becoming isn't about being a new person, completely changing everything about yourself, even though it often starts that way. For example, New Year's resolutions. I am great at making resolutions. I am also great at not following through. Every year starts with the same, I'm going to eat healthy and I'm going to exercise and I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. And by week 3 of January, I'm already too tired to go to the gym. Maybe I have a sniffle that I say, okay, my body needs rest. And that rest turns into weeks. And then the diet starts Monday, but every Monday I find another excuse of why the diet's not going to start today. All of those things that have always been kind of rolling around inside of me now have structure. They have meaning. I'm not just saying I'm going to start the 60-day workout tomorrow. I'm actually starting the workout. I'm showing up for myself. I'm doing the thing that I said I was going to do. And I honestly know that this time I'm going to follow through. Not because it's some grand revelation and I'm going to change the world overnight, but because I feel aligned with who I am, with what I want, and how I want to express myself to the world. I can't even explain it. I'm without words, which is impossible to think because I'm someone who could literally talk about nothing all day. I was actually voted most talkative in high school because of how much I enjoy talking. If that wasn't clue number 1 that I was meant for a career in talking and storytelling, I don't know what was. But I'm glad that I'm here now because this is the me I've always been, and it's the me that I finally get to show the world. So we are on season 4 of this whole becoming journey. And I lied, not season 4, episode 4. Another prime example of me not being perfect and my brain going a little bit slower than my mouth. Okay, so let's reflect back. We had season 0, the story before the story. How did I get here? We had episode 1. I noticed that something was different, that something was shifting. Episode 2, the awakening, those moments where it's just like, I'm finally starting to get it. Episode 3, the rituals that allowed me to make this into something real instead of just it'd be kind of fun to have a podcast. Instead, making this into something sustainable, something enjoyable, and something that I genuinely like doing as a day in and day out kind of job. And then today, episode 4 is about remembering who I was as a child, the part of me that's been there all along, but that is just now finally getting to show herself again. And remembering it's freeing and it's nostalgic and it's just exactly what I needed at that time in that moment to say, I didn't grow into her. I found my way back to her. So I'm going to leave you with this. There's been a lot going on in this becoming, and there's a whole lot more to come. So stick around. Get ready for the next episode.